Everyone, I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta. It is currently the evening of the 8th of April 2020. That date and time is important because anytime we're talking about tropical systems, the information does change, especially as far as the information coming out of these areas just impacted by Cyclone Harold. Actually, Fiji just took the brunt of this storm system over the course of the last 24 hours. This is a video coming out of that area. Now, the good news I can tell you, at least based on initial information, is that I have not seen any reports of deaths. Some injuries as well as damaged homes. So, still, this storm system, I mean, when it hit, it was a really powerful storm. In fact, let's take a look at what the infrared satellite imagery is showing you right now. And you still have that convection really wrapping in. You just have this buzzsaw shape actually coming from this, from the north. You still have a little dry air from the south, but I mean, overall, that is not hindering the storm. It's still a defined eye in that center of circulation. If you're unfamiliar with the geography of the area, just towards the west of that center of circulation, that is Fiji right in there. This is still actually heading out to a few smaller islands. About 10,000 people live on the Lau Islands. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm saying it wrong, please let me know if you're out in this area. But they're about to be impacted by this storm system. So about 10,000 people. So we're not out of the woods yet, despite the fact this is pulling away from the Fiji area. Another look at infrared satellite imagery. You got those colder cloud tops pointed out there in green, indicating we still have a very convective storm, a very dangerous storm. With that said, damage reported on Fiji, but no deaths have been reported on Fiji. Now, this storm is not casualty free, though. I do want you to remember that in the Solomon Islands, there was that ferry accident. I really shouldn't say it's an accident. They shouldn't have been out on the water in the first place, but with that said, 27 deaths were reported in the Solomon Islands. I have not seen any reports of any deaths coming out of Vanuatu. So the storm system did, unfortunately and very sadly in the Solomon Islands, result in some casualties. Take a look at the morphed microwave imagery. And I do like showing this because it gives you an idea of that inner eye wall indicated right there. Now, do want to note in the end of this satellite loop, it does a little weird thing right there, but that's just a glitch. But you can just see that inflow coming in from the southeast. That's actually a very decent inflow coming in from the southeast of this storm system, wrapping up into it. Still got a defined eye, but you notice those areas of the darker reds. Look how it just kind of jogged towards the south a little bit and moved around Fiji. That meant that that inner core of the eye wall, where those winds were estimated up and over 120 knots, missed the island of Fiji, and that is just some absolutely fantastic news. Actually, according to JTWC at this time of making this update, the winds in the storm system are still 120 gusting and 145 knots based on Dvorak analysis. Moving towards the southeast at 20 though, and what that does tell me is starting to pick up speed. We do have some wind shear that's going to start to push on the western side of the storm system, and that means we will start to see a gradual weakening as we go ahead over the course of the next several days. Actually, you could take a look at JTWC. It starts it off right now at 120, but by the time we get into the morning of the 10th, winds will be down upwards of about 60 gusting to 75 knots, which would make this no longer equivalent of a hurricane or a typhoon in the northern hemisphere. So I do want to take a look actually at some of the models, because I don't want to just yammer on here and just only discuss what the official tracks are actually showing, but what some of the model analysis are kind of indicating with you here. Now, what this shows you is basically we have our storm system moving towards the southeast with the GFS run, and you can take a look at this. It just actually, I'll have to move this over a little bit so I get my face off the screen there. It moves past the Lau Islands and then eventually just continues to scoot out to sea. The model kind of lets it go because it runs well ahead of the model, but we move it back here. You can see Fiji here in the northwestern side of it. You have those small islands just towards the southeast. Move it ahead here and just moves towards the south of those islands, and then eventually out to sea, really staying well north of New Zealand. Just to put that in perspective, there's a look at where the storm is now towards the southeast of Fiji. Pull it back, and New Zealand, the North Island, way down here towards the south. So I had a couple questions, people asking about New Zealand, how they could be impacted by the storm system. It's going to stay well north of you. I'm not too terribly worried. All right, so With that said, if you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please let me know in the comment box below. Always appreciate that feedback. I mean, I like doing these updates. You can see behind me, I have my studio pretty much all set up now, and yeah, it's something to do while hunkered down during the midst of this global pandemic. I know a lot of media outlets, by the way, for those of you who are still watching, you can hear me rant a little bit. A lot of media outlets are talking about how this is the first storm to really hit during the pandemic. And for those of you in Vanuatu, I think that's the last thing on their mind, because actually there has been no confirmed cases in Vanuatu of the coronavirus. But also a lot of people just evacuate to higher elevations there. I think a true demonstration of how this will be impacting with the pandemic and cyclones is if a storm system was to hit the Philippines, which is very probable this time of year, or in South Florida in the United States, which typically doesn't take place until the end of summer into fall. With that said, it's still possible, but I think the bigger issue and really chief concern of mine would be if a storm system was to hit the Philippines going ahead into the upcoming typhoon season if this pandemic is still ongoing. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that. I probably should do a whole different video update on it, but you know, that's a different time, and I digress. Stay safe out there, everybody, and as always, 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 thanks for watching.